Welcome back to another episode of Say Yes to Travel, where we have been talking to individuals in all different verticals of the travel and hospitality space. But today is a little bit different, a little interesting, and I'm really excited about today's conversation just because I know the company so well, I know the founder so well, and what they're doing is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. And there's a really cool intersection with travel. So with that being said, I just want to go ahead and dive into it. You can probably tell I've had some of the products, but we'll talk about that in a second. So today I have got Jon P here, who is the president and founder of Punched Energy. So excited. Jon, welcome.
Hey, Sarah, Miss Fruit Punch Power Ranger. I'm excited to be here.
Exactly.
Love having you on the team.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing to be part of the team and the group. So for those that are just tuning in, Jon is behind this company, and it's called Punched Energy. They are the only ones that have the patent to the caffeine gummy. We're going to talk more about this in so much more detail, but I've definitely been a fan of the product. I've been using it to stay energized, stay focused. It's TSA friendly, which is why it really works well for those of us in the travel space. But enough about Punched. First, I want to hear about the man behind Punched, which is you, Jon. So for a bit of an introduction, could you share a bit of like your background and then how you started Punched Energy?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, first and foremost, thank you very much for having me on. Thank you for making Punch the number one travel accessory. We're moving towards that, right? That's
Love
that's
it.
the goal.
Love it.
And congratulations to you, my friend, on your book, all your success, everything that's happening around you. Look, not a lot of people realize how entertaining you are, how much you do, how many different things you've been involved in the past, movies. I didn't know you did stand up until I kind of
I did stand up. And by the way, I was going to say, I was like, all powered by Punched. This is
yes. Multi-talented Sarah, powered by Punched. And by the way, the reason you're called Miss Fruit Punch Power Ranger is because you solely own our Fruit Punch gummy. We have
Yeah.
6 different flavor gummies, and you are the Fruit Punch queen.
I am, and I love because fruit punched is like one of my favorite flavors. So yeah. Though, and by the way, for a bit of backstory, so Jon and I connected. Wow, I mean, it was early, actually, probably late last year, early this year, and I, got to try out, the punched gummies, and was a huge fan, huge fan, and so. We got to talking, and they so amazingly offered. They were like, "Hey, you should be one of our ambassadors. What flavor do you want to represent?" And I was like, no brainer, fruit punched. That's my jam. So that is how I become, as I like to say, I'm the fruit punched ranger for fruit fruit punch flavored gummy.
Definitely gonna get you a uniform next year. We're gonna have some sort of super suit. I don't know what it looks like yet.
I don't either, but I can't wait. And that was, by the way, that was a lot of punched in all of that title work there.
Yes,
So,
yes. Sorry. So back to your question,
back
and
to
kind of
you.
how we started this. Well, not just so much about me, but how we started this, and the reason that you and I get along so well, and the reason that the people around the business along so well is because this all started with family, right? So this is family-based company that now is sort of going into the real world, and I know family is very important to you as well, and so we share that common, that background, right? The family upbringing, everything is important and revolves around family. And so this product is actually one of those products, the better for you, plant-based, natural energy. These are all important. And the way that we started this was I have 3 kids, we have a whole community around us. There's a bazillion people that caffeinate in our lives, right? And usually it's just whatever's there. Caffeine's kind of like water and air. Like, what are you going to drink today, or how are you going to get your caffeine today? And so the way this started, and the reason that it's such a passion play, is because we're knocking out the artificial energy drinks, the over sugarified sodas, the giant whipped cream lattes, all that stuff that's kind of like us ruining caffeine as humans, right? And so trying to bring it back. And you may laugh, well, now it's in a gummy, so how does that make it cleaner, and how does that make it better? Well, this comes back to the question you asked about me. My background is tech. I mean, so I'm very, I don't want to use the word anal, but I'm very detail oriented, right? And so this this is a simple looking product on the surface, but it's actually quite complicated to make it taste good and to make it really work right. And we wanted to be natural. So kind of during the development of this whole thing, and prior to COVID and 2020 and all those things, this is a product that we had been iterating and developing over time for us personally. And so when you make a product for yourself personally, and you make it for your family and your friends, and and people that you care about, you're never going to cut a corner. And that's where we ended up. We ended up with this product, and to your point, we got it patented. We own this new caffeine category, which is caffeine gummies, and that's what we're trying to prove out in the marketplace.
And that, I think that was, aside from the product being amazing, that was actually one thing that really caught my attention. I was like, wait, you guys have the patent to this? That's huge. That's a huge deal. So we're actually, I'm going to come back to that question, but because there is an interesting intersection, and I want to go ahead and maybe have you dive into this. But before we talk more about it, let's link Punch to the world of travel. So how do the two intersect?
Well, so not many people may know this about me. I mean, I'm a 2 million miler too, so I'm a pro traveler as well, right? And
Yeah,
I think all that means is that you have more patience than everybody else
yeah,
when you travel, because you've seen so many things, and it can always be worse, right? And so I guess in the travel world, especially right now, all bets are off. Everything is different. There's so many different ways to go places these days, and even I'm not traveling as much as I used to by far. But yeah, I think that's a big thing for me. The tie-in with travel was, look, there's the obvious things that you need when you travel, and then there's the not so obvious things that you need when you travel. And Punched sort of crosses a lot of those categories. And now I can't live without it, to be honest. And it's not just a product that we use; it's a product that we lean on. It's sort of our personal assistant for
yeah,
travel now, if you will.
definitely,
Um,
definitely.
and I just think it's one of those things, again, back to the patience part, and back to you need energy to do anything these days, right? And so what happens when you travel, and this is just the basics and the obvious part of it, when you travel, you're just destroyed. You're getting run down. I mean, if you have connections, if you're missing flights, if you have delays, if you have, whatever problems now that are happening, um, as long as you can have a good attitude, and to have that good attitude, you need a little energy. You can get through most of that stuff, right? And so I think that's, for me, that's what I see in airports, and traveling today is, it's a hot mess.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a challenging time, but I mean that's the whole thing with when it comes to travel is that you want to stay energized. I mean, if we think about it, like how often, when I think about going to Europe, and I'm like, yeah, the number of cappuccinos I start consuming like increases tenfold, and so. And why? Because it's like I'm trying to work with jet lag. I'm trying to stay like energized as I'm like walking all over the place. And why Punched is just so cool with that is that I mean it's TSA friendly. It's not a liquid, so you can take it with you anywhere. It's not going to be an issue. You're really just like packing like a little pack of gummies with you, so it's super convenient. It's not going to get messy or any of that. And actually, somebody said a really interesting thing to me. She was she was a little bit of an older woman, and so and she was like, "You might not be there yet." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And she was like, "But she's like, if I'm drinking like coffee or whatever, she's like, I have to go to the bathroom all the time. And that is really annoying when you are out on the road and you're traveling." And she's like, "This is great because then I can just stay kind of energized and I'm not necessarily having to like run to the bathroom every 5 minutes," which I know is a little bit TMI, but that's like a practical thing. I mean, how many people, if you say like, I want that, but I don't want to have to deal with like, maybe it's a road trip. Like, I'd love to have like coffee, but I don't want to have to deal with stopping again to go to the bathroom. So, I mean, these are little weird things, but I thought that was a really interesting point that she made.
No, I think it's perfect. Like, again, back to the obvious, not obvious, right? The obvious is, look, you want caffeine. You're looking for your Starbucks coffee, but the line's wrapped around the building, right? Or you can't bring something through TSA, the security line. You have to dump your drinks, or you can't. But the not obvious is you can bring 40 packs of Punched in a duffel bag on a
Yep.
plane.
Which you have
Um,
done.
you, yeah, me too. And the other obvious is, what about the reassurance that where you're going to get your caffeine from now, right? And it's clean. You don't have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to, just in case you have this sort of, zipper pouch where you can break the glass, and now you have this emergency supply of caffeine, right? I think that the longer days, to your point, the travel, the extended travel, those things are all obvious points. You need energy to make all that stuff happen. Jet lag, not so obvious. If you're going through time zones, taper your caffeine off easier with the caffeine gummies. If you're going the other way, then, you need more caffeine gummies because now you have to stay up longer. Your day just got longer.
It's
Um,
so true.
and it's all about the clean caffeine. That's really where it boils down to. Whether you're thinking about dirty airplane coffee, or you're thinking about other drinks, or you're thinking about even just the kind of the crappy snacks that you're grabbing as you're going around. This is kind of a standby, and it's clean, and it's 100% all natural.
Yeah, no, it's there's so many great parts about this product. So, but I want to, talk a little bit, like even just like from the business side of things, just because, who we have listening and tuning in are in the travel and hospitality space, and obviously, like the past 2 years at this point have been challenging to say the least. So, and a lot of businesses, not just travel and hospitality, but a lot of businesses had to change and pivot. So how would you say maybe the past years did you like maybe have work it to your advantage? Did you guys change anything, pivot, or did you hyper focus on something?
Well, I think it comes back to sort of the people that were the early adopters for us. They were moms and women, and we affectionately call them the chief health officers of the home. Excuse me, not operators, officers. And these kind of heads of households, and they weren't always women. They're also men. And there's a lot of people that actually now are looking to be healthier, right? So COVID time for us, it was a mess, but for us, for the business, it was the best years ever, because from 19 to 20 through now, people are trying to be healthier. People are trying to do better. People are trying to build their immunity systems. They're trying to make sure that they can kind of combat some of the stuff that's happening. And the reason that COVID kicked our butts so bad here in the States is because we're all about the McDonald's Coke diet, right? And it's absolutely horrible. I mean, so metabolic disease is a real thing, and then you add this COVID on top of it, and it's definitely the reason that we're getting beat up. And so people now are looking for clean labels, and this is a product where, simple again as it is, it fits a category need, it fits an energy need, it fits a supplement need, it fits a immunity boost need, because there's vitamin C in it, and green coffee bean caffeine is actually known to help boost immunity as well, because it's a natural source. And so what happened, again, the early adopters, and then it kind of grew and grew from there, and people are going, well, look, if I can eliminate, even if they just eliminate a couple of cans of Coke a day, or one energy drink a day, and it's sort of a combo play. Now they're saving calories, and they're saving the fat storage, and the other things that go along with all those empty calories that just boost your insulin levels to a place where it's not healthy. So that whole spike, bounce, crash thing is a real deal, and Punch doesn't do that. So, and just from our standpoint, kind of in our circle, and you and everybody that uses Punch, that it's a great alternative to that other stuff. There's no regrets after you pop Punched, where some of the other stuff you're going, I'm gonna have to run another 3 miles tomorrow.
No, of course. And well, I mean, and so it really seems like obviously you guys, were perfectly poised in this time in that you are providing a healthier alternative for people to stay caffeinated, where people were looking for that. Their work life's changed. They're maybe working from home. It's harder to stay focused. They're running around. They're just more mindful as far as what they're putting in their bodies. So definitely seem to work out well for you guys. So I want to ask this because we had talked about it a little bit earlier. So you have the patent to the caffeine gummy, which is just huge. And I think the other thing about it, and this was kind of surprised, I'm like, no one comes up with anything anymore. And it's like, but to be the first on the market with this, like, that's amazing. So what was that like, that process? Like, just to share a little bit of insight. So for those that might be wanting to do something, creative, to give them some inspiration with that.
Yeah, I mean, this was sort of right place, right time, I guess. We were doing a couple of projects in the gummy world before, weird long story there, but turns out that other people were trying to make a product like this, and nobody could really do it. And it's one of those things, again, where, because it was sort of a passion play, and actually I was trying to teach my kids how to be more entrepreneurial at the time, and things kind of lined up for us, and we stumbled and bumbled our way through different parts of the thing, again, because it was personal to us, right? So we went down this path, and we just quick summary. We started in our kitchen. We ended up in a Stanford food lab. We ended up in a commercial kitchen. We ended up talking with the U.S. Army as they were making other caffeinated products. One was a caffeinated beef jerky. We ended up working with LSU. We ended up working with big gummy manufacturers, big formulators, because they were all interested and curious in this project we were working on. And then as we presented sort of our minimal viable product to market, people were going, "Ooh, I want to see your formula and I want to copy that." And we're like, "Whoa, okay,
Whoa, yeah,
this
yeah.
is scary." So actually, one of our my good friends and a partner in the company, he said, "Look, man, we better go get a patent on this thing." And I was like, "We're not going to get a patent for this thing. There's no way." And so we ended up working with a pretty well accomplished food lawyer, and he put together a really strong patent for us, and we got it approved because there was no prior art. There's nothing as known as a caffeine gummy, and so it's kind of like what 5 Hour Energy did. 5 Hour Energy came to market with their little shots, and they patented that form factor, and so now nobody else could make a shot while they grew their business to $5 billion a year, $6 billion a year right now. And so we're doing the same thing. It's a different form factor. And we have the same struggles they had in that nobody knows what a caffeine gummy is, right? So we have to create the awareness so that people, yeah, so that people go, "Oh, there's a caffeine gummy? Okay." So it's a new form factor in energy. We were able to lock down the patent part of it, but now we have to create the market for it so that it matters, right? So that's kind of where we are. We're at that stage where we're getting bigger every day, and it's a fun journey.
No, it's a fun journey. And I have to say, anytime I introduce anybody to it, they're just like, this is awesome. So it's so cool that you guys are just right on, right? You've come up with something that there is a demand for it. So, and it just is now, time getting that awareness. So wait, I know we've actually talked a lot about all of this, but I wanted to just like do like almost like a speed round. Okay. The good stuff. Why is punch so amazing? I want you to go first, but then I'm going to join you because I have some punch right here with me. So while you are talking, I'm going to get inspired. So what are your three favorite aspects of Punched? And then I'll do my favorite three aspects of Punched. How about that?
Okay, so my three favorite aspects of punch in this world of instant gratification, they're almost like insta caffeination, right? Because you chew the gummy, it dissolves in your mouth. And so the effect happens within a minute, like or less. For me, especially if you chew fast and you're doing something else, I mean, they dissolve pretty quickly. They go into your energy system, which is here anyway. And so they don't have to go down through your digestive tract, through your big breakfast, through whatever, so you normally a drink, whether it's causing bathroom issues or not, which it does for a lot of people, it'll take up to 30 minutes, 45 minutes for that caffeine effect to happen. And then, even then, unless you slam that drink, you're not getting the nice flow that you want. You can't manage it, you can't control it. So, my number two thing that I love is that you can control your caffeine now. So these are precise, accurate doses of 10 milligrams of caffeine per gummy. And so you can count how many you're eating and how many you're using. And so for me, like I'll ramp up in the morning, sort of mid morning, 10 a.m., 9 a.m., because I don't do it so early because you kind of want to work within your body clock. And so about 10 a.m., I'll pop four or five, and that gets me to sort of a happy place. And then I'll pop like a couple gummies every other hour, or if I'm going to do a workout, and sometimes I'll do a noon workout or a late afternoon workout, I'll pop four or five again, and it'll get me back into sort of a pre-workout mode. But then at the end of the day, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., I'll start tapering them off so that I'm done, and then I can get a good night's sleep too. So that's number two, is you can control your dosage. And then I think three is just the convenience. I mean, there's no need to make a pot of coffee whenever you're feeling that low, or grab a drink, or put undue, unnecessary calories in your body, because these are such small little gummies. They're ultra low glycemic. They never spike your blood levels, and they never, there's never a calorie addition that is going to hurt you. And in fact, there's this whole theory of negative calories because there's caffeine in here. There's so little in calorie anyway that you're putting them in, you're moving around, and so now you're burning calories too.
That's awesome. Okay, I love your three things. So my three things, as I'm eating these, by the way, I love, and you kind of mentioned this, but I love that basically you're microdosing your caffeine, so you can have as much, because everybody is sensitive to. And by the way, I'm sorry that I'm chewing while I'm doing this, but for everybody that's listening, but I'm having some gummies, so I can't control myself. I mean, I have to control myself a little bit, but so I mean, for me, what I love is that basically that you can microdose and you can have as much caffeine that you want or don't want. I love it. You're joining me too. You're having some
I'm
gummies.
listening to you. Yeah.
I know, I love it. So I love that you can basically choose your dosage and how much that you want. I also love the second part is so I used to be like like I loved just like sugary gum like candy gummies. I loved candy gummies to begin with. But as I've gotten older, we're not going to talk about that. But as I've gotten older, I've noticed that my stomach just like I just can't handle the regular candy gummies. But this I can. And why is that the case? It's because there's a low glycemic level. So I don't get that weird sensation or anything what I might have with like sugary gummies because of the formula of this. So number one, I can microdose. Number two, like I actually feel good, eating this because there is a low glycemic level. And then number three, I like the taste. Like I think the taste is great. Some people are like, oh, there's a little bit of a bitterness factor to it, which is the caffeine taste to it. But it's, I don't know. I think they're delicious because they're not too sweet. They're just right. So those are the three things that I really love about
I
punch
love I love your three things. Let me tell you just a quick aside on the third one on the taste, because
hmm
like I said, we only had to get two things right. They had to taste good and they had to work, right? And you can flip the order on those. Some people don't care if they taste good; they just want them to work. But because it's pure natural green coffee bean caffeine, they work. So that was number one. But number two, so I have at the time we were developing this too. My daughters were teenagers, so I have two daughters. So I have my son and two daughters. My two daughters, it turns out, were the lowest common denominator for taste testers because their palates were the most sensitive to bitterness because they were younger and because they were female. Me being older and being their dad, look, I wanted a double punch grapefruit. Like that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And it was just nasty,
Wow.
nasty bitter, right? And so people are going like, no, I won't eat that every day. I mean, so there's a market for super bitter and more caffeine as well as you can imagine. But this is a product that is a daily user for just about anybody now across the gamut, bitter palates or not. And the reason that it has to be sort of that daily use product is because some days you don't need that much caffeine. Some days you just want a little bit of caffeine. We also found that most people that had problems with caffeine, it was always because they were getting too much, right? So this is the way you personalize your power. That's a saying
I
that we
love
always
that.
use, right?
Personalize
So
your power.
yeah, we're all different. So this is a different product to make sure that we're all can use caffeine how we want to use it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Well, I want to be mindful of time here, so I want to ask one last thing before we kind of wrap up. So, for what like new? Is there anything like new, exciting programs or things that Punched is working on, like that we should stay tuned for, like coming up?
Well, and to bring it back to travel, this
Yes.
is, obviously we want to try to make this the number one travel accessory. So to do that, we're starting to have conversations with the airport stores. We want to have more conversations with hotels. Look, we're not doing anything in Las Vegas today. I mean, why can't we do some stuff in Las Vegas? There's so many
Yes.
things to do. Whether it's, more focus on the game floor, staying up late night. Late night we call these dancing gummies, by the
Oh,
way.
I love it. Oh, that's my
So
jam.
so that's for this year coming up. We're calling year 2022 the year of the caffeine gummy, right? Because hopefully more and more people know what this product is. But yeah, that for the travel side of the business, and one of the reasons we're really excited working with you is because we just want to get it out to that world more. We want to work with the Hudsons in the airports. We want to work with the casinos and the hotels. Whether or not mini bars are allowed anymore, other things. There's a myriad of places that these could be, gift shops, front lobbies, those kind of things. Anywhere coffee goes, that we travel better, right? So that's really the goal. That's a huge vertical for us, travel and entertainment, especially as now we're all getting back on the road. As you know, we're in more convenience and gas as well on the road. So I think that's the big thing, and we're also looking for help with mommy bloggers. Like we said, that's our big group of people that buy our product. That was our early adopters, the mom influencers. So those are the areas that we really want to get more into and work with at a higher level next year.
Well, that is exciting, but definitely for everybody that's tuning in to this, obviously a lot of hospitality and travel professionals. If you guys are looking for new products for your gift shop, this is definitely one of them. You're definitely going to be seeing Punched Energy in more places, from airports to hotels. So you should totally check them out. So with that being said, for anybody that's interested to, find out more just for a personal level, or even, if they are interested in adding this to their hotel or their mini bar or just their offerings, where can they go to for more information?
I mean, you can come right to our site. It's just punchedenergy.com, punched without the E, Punchd, energy.com. And I'm Jon. So you can send me an email too, Jon, John, at punchedenergy.com.
Love it. Love it. Well, Jon, thank you so much. I'm so glad that we got to talk about this today, because I know we've known each other for quite some time, and I'm like, we got to bring more awareness to what's going on and what's being created, because it's so awesome and exciting. So whatever it is, if you're tuning in, you definitely have to check out Punched Energy. Whether it's you want to be powered by Punched, whether you want to personalize your power, whatever it is, the caffeine gummy is definitely like the future of caffeine consumption, in a good way, in a really, really good way. So I'll make sure to have all the details here. Jon, thank you so much. And for everybody that's tuning in, definitely check them out. And with that being said, continue to say yes to travel.